Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining us. My name is Rick Tamm-Daniels. I'm the Global Vice President for Ecosystems and Technology at Informatica. So me and my team are responsible for our relationship with Databricks and also all the product strategy and integrations and solutions that we develop together with the Databricks team with a lot of other partners as well. So I'm going to be joined today by one of our great customers, KPMG, by Dennis. He's actually the main part of the act. I'm just the warm-up. But in terms of warming you guys up, I want to give you a little bit of context about Informatica. But first, I just want to get to know you guys. So by show of hands, how many folks are current Informatica customers? Okay, well, thank you guys very much. Appreciate it. How many of you are Informatica Cloud customers? Okay, awesome. It's great. Okay. So we got some new folks. We got some folks who know Informatica well. And so for both of you, I think we'll have some really interesting content today, especially focused on AI, which is obviously one of the hottest topics at the Data and Analytics Summit, or the Data and AI Summit this year. Okay, first things first, in case my shirt didn't give it away, we are extremely proud that Informatica was named Databricks' 2024 Data Integration Partner of the Year. So this really reflects the tremendous work that we've done in the last several years on supporting all the aspects of Databricks and the data intelligence platform, as well as our customer success and driving successful outcomes and really business-changing outcomes for our customers. Okay, so I'd like to do a little context about, well, for those of you who don't know Informatica well, and especially Informatica of today, what are some of the key challenges that Informatica helps you address when it comes to Databricks? And I always like to think about your typical data analytics initiative, oftentimes starts simply with understanding, well, what data do I need for the project I'm trying to attempt or the outcome I'm looking to achieve, and where does that live? And that's really where things like cataloging become very important for your existing data assets within your enterprise. And once you find your data and identify what's the right information to bring to Databricks, to bring to the data intelligence platform, how do I actually get it from where it is to where it needs to go? Do I have the right connectivity? It's a big strength of Informatica's. And also, do I have the right connectivity in terms of high performance and properly implemented ways to deliver that data to Databricks? The next challenge becomes, well, great, I got my data from where it is to where it needs to go, but is that data actually usable? Is it trustworthy? Or do I need to clean the data? Do I have quality issues I need to address? Are there security concerns with the data? Am I putting my company at risk by bringing this data to the cloud? How well am I governing my process of moving data? Or in a lot of cases, a lot of analytics focuses on your core business entities. And in many cases, it's really important to have a truly trusted, high-fidelity view of who your customer is. Who are your suppliers? What are your products? And in today's world, that view of any of those entities is pretty fragmented. So kind of putting that complex picture together and figuring out how do I deal with overlapping and conflicting data, it really creates a solid foundation for analytics. And we'll talk more about master data management in the world of GenAI in just a minute. And finally, data governance, right? So making sure that not only do you keep track of the process, you don't create a mess with your data, you understand that you're using high quality, high fidelity data, but ultimately using governance can actually be a tool to accelerate and enable more consumption and more use of data. So the right governance, the right metadata, the right context actually becomes an enabler for your organizations. And what makes Informatica unique as a Databricks partner is we are the only partner that can solve all of these challenges in a single cloud-native platform. And that platform is the Intelligent Data Management Cloud, or IDMC. And so with IDMC, this is a kind of high-level diagram of what we call the microservices that live inside the platform. But the idea is that it's almost like a mini cloud within the cloud, if you will, that focuses exclusively on best-in-breed data management capabilities. So again, is a true as-a-service cloud-native platform. It is optimized for multi-cloud as well as hybrid deployments. That's a big theme we see with a lot of customers today. You're not just on one cloud. You're honestly not just in one analytics and data environment, but you want consistency in your data management. And because of how we're architected, we have what we call security by design. We don't actually touch your data. Your data stays in your environments. We work with your metadata. We also have consumption-based pricing. So in today's world with Informatica, you purchase Informatica processing units, just like DBUs in the Databricks world, and you can use those on any of these services interchangeably. So it allows you to address your needs as they come up without having to go back and get additional capabilities or SKUs and things like that. It's available on AWS and Azure, and actually it's Google and Oracle as well, I should add, and in global regions. So we call points of delivery all across the world to address data sovereignty concerns no matter which country you live in. Okay. And the other thing I would point out, and we'll talk about AI in just a second, but we really focus quite a lot on, and we have for the last 6 or 7 years, on how to use AI to improve and accelerate the business of data management. And that's what we call our CLAIRE engine. And so I'll talk more about where we've taken CLAIRE in the era of GenAI. Again, from a high-level perspective, we look at the Databricks Data Intelligence Platform. A lot of the core services we're looking at is onboarding of data, so the integration, the connectivity. We're doing a lot of quality profiling data, identifying quality issues, and not just finding them, but remediating them as well. And then we're looking at cataloging that data. So we integrate really well with Unity Catalog. So Unity Catalog does a great job looking what's inside Databricks. We're looking at the whole picture, where data was before it got to Databricks, where it goes after, and we're integrating all that rich metadata from Unity Catalog in a seamless way for you. Okay, so I'll go ahead and jump to the next slide. So GenAI. I like to think about this as two sides of the coin. Really, it's Informatica for GenAI, which is what we're going to talk about in more detail today, but also GenAI from Informatica. So we have two capabilities. We went GA just a few weeks ago at Informatica World called CLAIRE GPT and CLAIRE Copilot. And CLAIRE GPT really is the idea of taking that conversational experience and bringing it to data management. So enabling users who don't necessarily work in mapping designers, they don't necessarily work in governance tools, and allowing them to discover their data, to actually even create basic mappings to move their data and transform their data using a conversational interaction. And then CLAIRE Copilot is really an extension of what we had in CLAIRE for a while of bringing GenAI techniques into the different services within the IDMC platform to basically recommend data quality rules or to have a conversation with your data as you're governing or preparing it or looking for similar information. These assistive technologies can be incredibly impactful in accelerating the business of data management. And we talk about Informatica for GenAI, though, we're really focused on, well, you as our customers are looking to build new generative AI applications, right? You're looking to tap into the potential of generative AI, which is huge. I mean, I think ChatGPT has captured the imagination unlike any other technology before in many ways, similar to kind of the iPhone coming out, where it really did fundamentally open people's eyes and say, hey, we have these visions of amazing applications we can build. But when you take that concept into the enterprise, there's some challenges that we need to deal with. And what we're going to talk to today is how do you take those GenAI dreams and make them an enterprise reality? So what does it mean to be an enterprise-grade GenAI app? So what are some of the requirements that we see to make this successful? So first is grounding, right? One of the challenges really well known in GenAI, a lot of popular media about it, models can hallucinate. They make things up, right? And this is a problem with enterprise applications. You can't make core business decisions on incorrect information. So it's very important that you ground that conversation with your actual data, with actual insight to your business environment. Second thing is contextualization. The models, public models don't understand your business. They don't understand the semantics of your business. Real simple example is, you think about, well, if I type in, I want to look at my customer information, how does the model know if you're talking about a company or a person? That's very specific to your business. And that's where things like governance and the metadata about your semantic definitions, your critical data elements, adding that to the conversation, adding that rich context to your prompts is really important to make sure that the model outcomes are tailored and appropriate for your business and that context. Third thing is quality of data. And again, just like in the analytics world, in the AI world, garbage in, garbage out, right? So when you think about what you're going to ground your models with, what you're going to ground your conversation with, you want to make sure you're using high quality data. So understanding that you're prioritizing your data sets based on the quality of the information in them in terms of how they participate in the conversation, how they participate in the inferencing and the response generation. The other element is development of these types of applications, right? A lot of folks are building these today using code. They're often using code, and I think it can be a very quick way for developers to get up and running, but the reality is once you get to a dozen of these, or 2 dozen, or 3 dozen, you need to start deploying. You want to keep monitoring. You want to manage these in an enterprise way. How do you make that more scalable? How do you have a no-code approach to constructing your RAG chain or constructing your agentic application for your GenAI use case? And finally, governed and secure, right? So it's security of information, making sure that your data access policies are enforced in the conversation, the responses that are returned to users, and understanding the context of who's allowed to look at what. And also make sure of governance over, well, what data is participating in these different applications, how's it being used, and by whom. Okay, so I want to talk real quickly about what we call our Informatica blueprint for Databricks and Databricks DBRX. So this is a solution blueprint that we've developed working together with the Databricks team that takes advantage of a wide range of IDMC capabilities to really help you deliver these enterprise-grade GenAI applications. And so the first side of this is ingesting your data and figuring out what data is going to participate in the grounding, the retrieval augmented generation, the RAG type integration. And this can be a combination of any enterprise data source. So we have 200 different source connectors today that can bring data into the environment and primarily bring it into the vector and create vector indices, right, or vector indexes within Databricks against that data to make it searchable and easily accessible as part of your RAG chain. And the other thing we see a lot of folks doing is looking at our master data management. So that's where we have our customer 360, supplier 360, product 360, and the domains go on. We go in healthcare, patients, providers, consumers. That high fidelity trusted data foundation is really important, right? And we have actually, if you come by our booth later, we have some great demos showing how we've actually built with DBRX the example of this architecture, right? And how we're using MDM data to ground the conversation. Okay, and the key thing we're doing is we are going to vectorize the key data and the key data into a vector database. Okay, so the next side of this is the enterprise metadata. So as I mentioned, the metadata becomes key to that contextualization, as well as enriching responses, enriching summaries coming out of your inferencing and your models. And really what we're looking to do here is take the semantic definitions that you put in the governance side of things. We're going to bring in data quality context to help prioritize different data sets, and all that's going to be vectorized as well, right? And so again, it's available now for building agents to interact and communicate, or executors to work with that data in the vector indices inside of your Delta tables. Okay, so then we actually build the executors themselves, right? These are the elements that do the work of invoking or reaching out to different services, and these can participate in prompt enrichment. They can be post-inferencing, they can be summarization, filtering for security enforcement, that sort of thing. And again, one of the things we do with Informatica is we have a capability called cloud application integration that actually allows you to do no-code orchestration. So you can define and construct these in a visual interface, no code, and maintain and manage a large number of these very easily from within IDMC. Okay, so I already went through those. All right, so the last mile here is how do we actually bring this to an application, right? And this is where in the Databricks ecosystem, it's really kind of open in terms of what tools you want to use, how you want to present these applications, if you will. The other thing we do to make it easy to wrap up your GenAI app and expose is we offer API management as well as part of our platform. And so that means you can put API wrappers in front of any of these orchestrated RAG chains. And on top of that, we also provide governance around the API. So you can do rate limiting. There can be a FinOps kind of optimization, cost management, which is especially important as you're piloting applications. You want to make sure you're managing your cost of your GenAI applications. So the planning agent itself is another key component, right, that actually is orchestrating all those API calls. And of course, the LLM itself provided by Databricks and the model as a service as well. All right, well, with that context, I will bring Dennis up to talk about how KPMG has actually put some of these concepts into practice. Thanks, Dennis.
Good afternoon. Thank you all for coming. My name is Dennis Talley. As Rick said, we're a customer, KPMG US. I work for the Chief Digital Officer organization, work for the CDO. Jody's here, Jody Martin. There are partners from our advisory practice who support alliances for both the Databricks and Informatica side of the house. So really invested in both firms, and really appreciate the support from Rick and the team and the invitation today. So from an introduction perspective, go back 3 or 4 years, KPMG was highly constrained by our on-premise data center. We, like a lot of companies, started to make plans to move to the cloud. And so as we did that, we learned a lot of lessons. And so today we'll talk about some of those lessons. We'll talk about the key partnerships, and hopefully give you some information that you can take back to your organizations as well. So for those of you that don't know who KPMG is a leading professional services organization. We focus on audit, tax, and advisory services for customers around the world in every industry. We are a data-driven organization, and as a result, we spend a lot of time making sure that the data under our decisions is sound, and Informatica is a big part of that. Our legacy data estate really needed some work, as I mentioned, so we moved towards an evaluation. What were those constraints that we had? Like many companies, we had high maintenance and operational costs. There was limited scalability and suboptimal performance. Lots of data silos. Access is an issue. We've got disparate data governance and security, and inconsistent quality reliability. What that meant was it was difficult for us to integrate all of these products on an ongoing basis. So what we did was made a decision to move to the cloud. And we have a strong relationship with Microsoft. We landed on Azure as our cloud platform. We went through a lot of the same assessments that companies do. We looked at our future state. We looked at our existing legacy environment. We tried to anticipate AI. So 3-4 years ago, AI wasn't quite the same conversation that it is today, but we felt like we needed to position for that conversation really the convergence of the AI and BI universes, which is what Ali was talking about yesterday, and what we'll hear more about. Finally, we got on to the doing part of it, right? Which we were dependent on important partners. So I'm going to just take a second to talk a little bit about our environment. If you were in my Unity catalog session yesterday, you might have seen this slide. But what this says is that we have an existing production environment where we have really important tools that we've invested in over time. And as we moved to the cloud, it was important for us to understand which of those vendor relationships, which of those sets of capabilities were important for us to take forward. And so what you see here is a traditional systems of record on the left and your consumers on the right. We categorize our consumers into 3 simple buckets. Consumers, those are people largely like me who receive links to dashboards. I don't create dashboards anymore. I largely consume them. We have clickers, and those are the folks that operate largely in the BI visualization universe. They're comfortable connecting to RDBMS or flat files and creating dashboards and visualizations. And then the last persona that we're really talking about is the coder. And that's our data scientist and our engineer and those types of resources. So across the top, you'll see metadata, quality, master data management, and data masking. You'll see Informatica plays in all of those spaces for us. I'll talk a little bit more about our recent experience with master data management, where we were one of the first firms to move a on-premise implementation to a cloud implementation, and the folks from Informatica can correct me there. We have a number of partners, as I mentioned. Azure is pretty significant a partner for us, so Azure Data Factory. MuleSoft was an integration tool that we leveraged for our Salesforce implementation, and then IDMC CDI. We also use Databricks for some ingestion. It wasn't listed up here. It was on my slide yesterday, so if you're noting the difference, that is one difference between the slides. Traditional medallion architecture. When the Lakehouse architecture rolled out, we were one of the early adopters. This goes back to some of the work that some of us did back in the big data Hadoop days, but really took that medallion architecture where we're landing data in its raw form in ADLS and then really moving it through Parquet using Databricks for all of our transformations. So within this, you'll see also underneath Unity Catalog from a security and authentication perspective. But I'll spend a little bit more time up on data quality, master data management, and masking. So as I mentioned, these tools were on-premise for us to start, and it was a natural decision for us to look at these for our cloud migration as well. So from a metadata perspective, we actually have several tools. I didn't list Purview, but as an Azure shop, you'll recognize that we have Purview in play. One of the really important things that we understood was that metadata would drive a lot of what we were doing over the next couple of years. So it was important for us to understand how we could integrate across those stores, and we are continuously working with our partners to do that. From a data quality perspective, we actually have a number of dashboards for our non-cloud assets, right? So Data quality was one of the capabilities from Informatica that we leveraged pretty extensively. We've got a team that focuses on that. We have data quality as a service, which we deployed a couple of years ago, and that's integral to us operating both in our on-premise estate as well as work in Azure. We use IDMC data quality for some third-party data sets that we have in Azure, and that contributes back into an on-premise and cloud dashboard that gives us a full view of data quality. Master data management is probably the really big thing that we're focused on right now, and as I mentioned, we just completed our cloud migration, so congratulations to the team that did that. I'm really excited about that. Master data management is important for us, so we're focused on accounts. We are now starting to have conversations that occurred largely within the US firm around our US accounts, starting to have those same discussions with our global teams as we look at a broader global implementation of Salesforce. This conversation started in the US with our US implementation of Salesforce, and as we go global, it's going to be even more imperative that we get that information right. And then finally, data masking. We use data masking, again, on cloud and on-premise. There are a number of sources that exist before we can bring them into the cloud. We need to go ahead and mask them, so Informatica has come in very handy over the past couple of months in that regard. Any questions on this slide before I move on? Okay. So how are we using the tools? Obviously, there are strengths with each of the vendors. From a Databricks perspective, the scalability and the performance, advanced analytics really was the draw for us, the ML flow and machine learning capabilities. The ability to collaborate and provide interactive self-service. We really used Unity Catalog over the last 6 months to help, as I said, democratize data, push data out that had been really constrained in silos out to project teams, our engagement teams that are servicing our customers. And then we understand that we need to use metadata to drive security. And so, this is where Unity Catalog comes into play for us again. On the IDMC side of the house, data quality, it's hard to get to trusted AI without trusted data. And that's really what this conversation is about today. It's about how do we gain trust in the data that's supporting our AI. Informatica comes into that conversation routinely at KPMG. The reliability for profiling, cleansing, and enriching the data, validating those data sources. One of the great things is that Informatica can manage many different environments, and so it allows us to operate across the spectrum. Data consistency, accuracy, centralizing, and synthesizing that master data. It's impossible to have a global CRM implementation without trusted account data. And we're starting to take advantage of Reference 360 and some of the other tools from Informatica that are really going to help us extend not only our master data, but our reference data capabilities. And then finally, what we're looking to do is really understand the linkage between IDMC and Unity Catalog and the other AI capabilities that are rapidly emerging. And I wish that I could stand up here and tell you that we had it all figured out, but because they are so rapidly emerging, we're still working through a lot of that. And so really excited about the opportunities that both of these partners provide to us. We think that they're really complementary in what they do in the Azure environment, and we think that this is a winning solution for us. The benefits of this, as you can see, increased data security and compliance, streamlined integration, accelerated processing, reduced data infrastructure costs, improved data scalability, and finally, enhanced data availability and accessibility. So, as I mentioned, trusted AI really starts with trusted data. I sit in a chief data officer organization, and so it's a little different than my peers in a CIO organization that are chasing the technology and the algorithms a little bit more. I'm still very, very focused on the core functions of data governance and data management, which are central to our ability to trust the solutions that we're putting in.
Okay, so thanks, Dennis. A great perspective, and I think one of the really cool things about IDMC platform, as you saw in Dennis's architecture, they're not necessarily using all the services of IDMC, right? They have other services they put in play, and so IDMC gives you a lot of flexibility. And you might want other tools because of different personas you're trying to bring in, where those tools are a better fit. And the whole idea of IDMC is to be very open and really provide a common foundation. Now, of course, we'd love if you used all of it, but we'll get there over time. But it's just a great example of the power of the flexibility of the platform today and our consumption-based pricing as well. So the other thing I want to highlight before we go to kind of more Q&A and get your questions ready is we had a number of announcements we made this week about some key innovations with Databricks that I wanted to just highlight for you. So the first we just talked about, which is the GenAI blueprint. Again, really encourage folks to come by the booth, check it out, talk with our architects, and get a little deeper perspective of how it's put together. It's actually pretty straightforward, how to assemble these together and bring in this relevant data from the IDMC platform. So again, I'm really looking forward to seeing what you guys are able to do with this foundation that we've created. Second one is, I think hopefully most folks are aware, may not be aware, that Informatica, we've been doing ELT for quite a long time, right? The idea of bringing your data in a raw format, then transforming it once it's in your data store, right? Now, we've just announced what we call native SQL ELT. And what this is we are now extending all the functions that are available in our no-code pipeline designer, pipeline mapping. You can leverage a huge number of native Databricks functions now, right? So just bringing those directly into the IDMC experience, and that means you can push down more of your workloads directly into Databricks that are leveraging more of the unique Databricks capabilities that they've made available. Okay. We've also launched, and again, for those of you who have never tried IDMC or are new to it, we now, on Partner Connect within Databricks, have what we call our Informatica Cloud Data Integration free service. So this service offers connectivity. It's about 40 different data sources that you can bring data in from very easily, and no-cost data transformation pipelines, so that can push down and run inside Databricks using Databricks SQL. So basically, we take your visual mapping and we translate it into the Databricks SQL and push those commands down for you and run them inside the Databricks engine. And so this gives you up to 10 million, 10 million rows a month, 20 million? 20 million rows a month, or 10 compute hours of ELT pushdown, right? So again, it's a free service now available. It's really simple to sign up for, direct from Partner Connect inside the Databricks user experience. And finally, this is a really exciting one, and you think about the breadth of capabilities that we have inside the IDMC platform. This is quite a lot of engineering work and investment and collaboration with the Databricks team, but Databricks has fully validated IDMC and all the IDMC services with Unity Catalog. And so this goes, when you think about data integration or data ingestion, it's supporting Unity Catalog properties, specifying which catalog context you're working in, all the way to getting very detailed lineage out of Unity Catalog. And not only just your lineage on traditional ETL or ELT, but also looking at notebooks, right? So we're able to parse notebooks, pull lineage out of that. We have a really cool demo in the booth, big booth we have in the middle of the show floor downstairs. And you can actually go and talk to our data governance experts and see just how we put the Unity information and metadata in the context of a bigger flow that might go all the way to your BI layer, all the way to your source system layer to give you that full context. And then we layer in things like data quality metrics as data flows throughout your environment. So again, it's a really, really cool way to just see how we surface trusted data using Unity metadata together with our cloud data governance and catalog microservice. Okay. So again, I think what we want to leave you with is that we at Informatica, our philosophy when it comes to helping our joint customers be successful is, first and foremost, we want to make it easy to get going quickly. So that's where the Cloud Data Integration free service comes in. We're all about trying to get you on your journey very quickly with Databricks. But the key thing is, how do you scale adoption? How do you scale consumption? And that's where things like trusted data become absolutely critical, right? That's where data quality is a critical capability, data governance, and ultimately we call our data marketplace as well, which allows you to publish your own data assets with all that rich metadata of quality and context, and truly provide a kind of a shopping experience for your end users, your business users, to identify the data sets they want to work with. I use the analogy, it's kind of when you think about, when you look at searching on Amazon, all that metadata they give you that helps you as a consumer decide, this is the right product for me, right? And we've done the same thing in terms of this whole data journey throughout the IDMC process is developing that context that ultimately become the enabler of true self-service. And that's kind of what we're looking to deliver. And that's when we talk about scaling, is scaling adoption, because we're actually making the data consumable and trusted to all the parts of the business. And finally, it's realizing the full potential of GenAI, right? It's, again, all of us have, I think, just so many ideas have bubbled up inside organizations because of ChatGPT and those consumer experiences. But it's how do you create these enterprise-grade apps that can actually provide trusted outcomes that really transform your business, that deliver true value from a cost savings, from an optimization, time savings perspective. Again, we are here to be your partner to help in that journey. Okay, with that, in terms of next steps, you can do a few QR codes to get your phones out. So if you want to sign up for the free service, you can just follow this link here. Also, we have a general information page on our website of all of our Databricks solutions and capabilities, and then also read about the press release on the latest announcements that I just highlighted. Okay, sorry, do you want me to leave that up longer? Okay, see some more phones up. Okay, cool. And again, our booth, we're tons of architects on site here, ready to have deep technical conversations with you guys. I really welcome you to come down and see all this stuff in action. Awesome. Well, again, thank you all so much for joining us. We'll be available for questions afterwards. And again, please come visit us on the show floor. By the way, we do have the only coffee station today out there, I think. So, all right. Thank you all.
Thank you.